Rare coin collecting. Discover real value and history in every coin.
What if three ordinary pennies could tell three completely different stories? One born from public outrage, one created by a wartime metal crisis, and one that turned a simple design mistake into a coin worth more than most houses. These aren't myths or internet rumors. They're real Lincoln cents that slipped into circulation and changed coin collecting forever. Today, we're breaking down three pennies that look almost identical at first glance, yet one tiny detail on each can push values from a few dollars into the thousands, and in rare cases even six figures. Most people have handled these coins without ever knowing what to look for. Stay with me through all three, because each one reveals a different clue collectors use to spot history, rarity, and real value hiding in plain sight. Once you see what separates these pennies, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Here we go with the next coin in our sequence, and this one is often misunderstood because most people think every 1944 Lincoln penny is common. The truth is, the 1944 S Lincoln penny sits at the center of one of the most important transition periods in U.S. coin history, and depending on condition and metal, it can range from a few cents to truly shocking prices. This is the kind of coin that teaches collectors why details matter, why metal matters, and why condition can change everything. To understand the 1944 S penny, you have to go back to World War II. In 1943, the U.S. Mint stopped using copper for pennies and switched to zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. Those steel cents were unpopular, easily confused with dimes, and prone to rust. By 1944, the Mint rushed to return to copper-based pennies, but copper was still scarce. The solution was to melt down spent shell casings from the war and reuse that bronze to strike cents. That gives the 1944 pennies, including the San Francisco issue, a powerful historical connection to the war itself. Most 1944 S pennies were struck in bronze, and millions entered circulation immediately. They were heavily used at a time when pennies mattered in everyday transactions, which means wear was unavoidable. That's why truly high-grade survivors are much scarcer than people realize. Circulated examples are common and might be worth 5 to 20 cents. But as condition improves, values rise steadily. A strong AU example can reach $5 to $15. Mint state coins start climbing fast. MS-63 examples often bring $25 to $50. MS-65 red coins regularly sell for $150 to $300. And top-end gems with blazing luster and minimal marks have reached $1,000 or more when demand is strong. But here's where the story gets serious. A tiny number of 1944 S pennies were accidentally struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets. These steel cents were never meant to exist in 1944, and when one appears, it instantly becomes a six-figure coin. Genuine 1944 S steel pennies are among the rarest Lincoln cents ever made. Fewer than a handful are confirmed. When an authentic example surfaces, prices explode. Verified specimens have sold for $250,000, $400,000, and, in exceptional cases, even higher. That's not hype. That's documented auction history. One wrong planchet, 1 year too late, and suddenly a penny becomes a museum-level artifact. This is why metal composition is critical. A simple magnet test can change everything. Bronze pennies will not stick to a magnet. Steel pennies will. That one test has led to some of the most exciting discoveries in coin collecting history. And it's also why authentication is essential. Because altered coins and plated fakes exist. Real examples show correct weight, correct strike characteristics, and proper mint diagnostics. Condition still plays a huge role, even with the regular bronze issue. Collectors want sharp wheat lines, strong detail in Lincoln's hair, original color, and clean fields. Eye appeal matters enormously. A dull, spotted coin will never command the same money as a bright, original red example, even if both grade similarly. That's why grading makes such a difference with the 1944 S. Another factor that keeps this coin relevant is survival. Over time, many were lost, damaged, or melted. Others sit in collections and never re-enter the market. Each year, fewer problem-free examples remain available. And because this coin is tied directly to wartime history, demand never fades. Lincoln collectors, wheat cent specialists, and history-focused collectors all chase it for different reasons. The 1944 S Lincoln penny proves that a coin doesn't need to be rare at first to become valuable later. Historical context, metal composition, condition, and unexpected minting errors all work together to create value. So if you come across a 1944 S penny, don't dismiss it. Check the metal, examine the condition, and look closely at the details. Because sometimes the most valuable coins are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Here we go with the next coin in our sequence, and this one is where the entire Lincoln cent story truly begins. The 1909 VDB Lincoln penny isn't just valuable, it's historic, controversial, and still one of the most emotionally powerful coins in American numismatics. This was the very first year the Lincoln cent was issued, and it marked a major shift in U.S. coinage. For the first time, a real historical figure appeared on a circulating American coin, and that alone makes this penny special. But what turned it into a legend was 3 tiny letters on the reverse, VDB. Those initials stand for Victor David Brenner, the sculptor who designed the Lincoln cent. Brenner placed his full initials prominently at the bottom of the reverse, something that immediately sparked public outrage. Critics claimed the initials were too bold, too visible, and inappropriate for a circulating coin. Newspapers picked up the story, public complaints poured in, and the U.S. Mint reacted quickly. Production was halted, the initials were removed, and the dies were modified. In a matter of weeks, the original 1909 VDB pennies were pulled from production, instantly freezing the supply and creating one of the earliest examples of artificial scarcity in U.S. coin history. Even though over 27 million were struck before production stopped, the survival rate tells a very different story. Most of these coins entered heavy circulation during the early 20th century, a time when pennies were used constantly and rarely saved. Many were worn down, damaged, lost, or melted over time. What remains today is only a fraction of the original mintage, and truly high-grade examples are surprisingly difficult to find. That's why the 1909 VDB remains a key date for collectors more than a century later. Condition is where the value story really changes. A well-worn 1909 VDB with heavy circulation might sell for $10 to $20. A nicer circulated example with clear details can reach $50 to $100, but once you move into uncirculated territory, the numbers jump dramatically. Mint state examples with strong strike and original color routinely sell for $800, $1,500, and more. High-end red examples in MS65 or better have crossed $3,000 to $6,000, and exceptional pieces with blazing luster and flawless surfaces have pushed even higher. These are real prices, driven by real demand. The coin's metal composition plays an important role in its survival. The 1909 VDB is struck in bronze, a copper-based alloy that shows wear easily but also tones beautifully when preserved properly. Collectors prize coins with even color, strong cartwheel luster, and minimal spotting. Eye appeal matters just as much as technical grade. Two coins with the same numeric grade can have very different values, depending on color, surface quality, and overall presentation. Another reason collectors love this coin is its story. It's not just about money. It represents a turning point in American coinage, a moment when art, politics, and public opinion collided. The controversy over the initials made the 1909 VDB famous almost overnight, and that fame has never faded. Every Lincoln cent collector, from beginners to advanced specialists, wants one. It's a rite of passage in the hobby, a coin that marks the transition from casual collecting to serious numismatics. What also keeps this coin relevant is that people still find them. Old collections, estate sales, and forgotten coin jars occasionally produce a 1909 VDB, often misidentified or undervalued by non-collectors. While it's not the extreme rarity some coins are, it remains one of the most recognized and sought-after pennies ever made. And because demand never disappears, prices remain strong across all grades. This coin proves that scarcity doesn't always mean low mintage. Sometimes it means survival, condition, and historical importance. The 1909 VDB Lincoln penny tells the story of a nation honoring a president, a designer pushing artistic boundaries, and a mint reacting under public pressure. And more than a century later, those three small letters continue to create excitement, debate, and real value for collectors who understand what they're holding. Here we go with the next coin in our sequence. And this one is in a completely different league because it shows how a dramatic minting error can turn an ordinary-looking penny into one of the most famous and expensive modern U.S. coins ever discovered. The 1969 S Lincoln penny is not just rare, it's legendary, and the reason is a bold double die error that changed the history of Lincoln cent collecting forever. At first glance, it looks like a normal San Francisco penny from the late 1960s. But the moment you focus on the date and the lettering, everything changes. This coin was created during a time when the U.S. Mint was under intense pressure. The late 1960s were marked by massive coin shortages, rising inflation, and a surge in demand for everyday change. The mint was striking coins at a frantic pace, and quality control suffered. During that rush, one obverse die was misaligned during the hubbing process. Instead of receiving a perfectly aligned design, the die picked up a strong secondary image. When that die was put into use at the San Francisco Mint, it began striking coins with dramatic doubling on the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." This is not the kind of doubling people confuse with machine doubling or wear. This is true hub doubling, bold and unmistakable. The numbers in the date look clearly split. The letters in liberty show strong separation. Even in God we trust appears doubled to the naked eye. That's why this coin caused such a stir when it was first discovered. Collectors immediately realized they were looking at something special, something that wasn't supposed to exist. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. When examples of the 1969 S doubled, die started surfacing. The U.S. Secret Service actually got involved. At the time, officials believed the coins might be counterfeit because the doubling was so strong. Several examples were confiscated and destroyed before the mint finally confirmed they were genuine errors. That early destruction made an already rare coin even rarer, shrinking the population before the collecting world fully understood what it was. Today, it's believed that fewer than 50 genuine examples exist. That tiny survival number is what places this coin in elite territory. And condition plays a massive role. Most known examples show some degree of circulation, which is understandable considering how long they went unnoticed. Even so, a circulated 1969 S double die can easily bring $30,000 to $50,000, depending on eye appeal and clarity of the doubling. In higher grades, the numbers climb fast. Mint state examples have sold for $75,000, $100,000, and in exceptional cases, well beyond that. One top-grade specimen famously crossed the $125,000 mark at auction, shocking even seasoned collectors. The metal composition also adds to the challenge. This penny is struck in bronze, a copper-based alloy that shows wear, scratches, and toning very easily. While bronze ages better than later zinc cents, it still suffers from contact marks and surface issues, especially when circulated. That makes clean, sharply struck examples incredibly desirable. Collectors look closely at luster, color, and surface preservation. A bright, original red-brown example with strong doubling and minimal marks can jump dramatically in value compared to a darker, heavily worn coin. Another reason this coin remains so important is how people find it. This wasn't something sold in special sets or saved intentionally. Every genuine 1969 S doubled die was released into circulation. That means the discovery process relied entirely on sharp-eyed collectors and everyday people who noticed something didn't look right. That moment of realization, seeing the date doubled instead of damaged, is what makes this coin such a powerful symbol of the hobby. It's about observation, patience, and knowing what to look for. And because of its fame, this coin has also become one of the most faked Lincoln cents in existence. Many altered coins exist, created by mechanically doubling the date or lettering. That's why authentication is critical. Genuine examples show strong, uniform doubling that matches known diagnostics, especially on the 9 in the date and the thickness of the letters. Serious collectors always rely on professional grading to confirm authenticity, and certified examples command far stronger prices because of that trust. What truly keeps the 1969 S Lincoln penny at the top of the modern rarity list is demand. Every major Lincoln cent collector wants one. Every doubled die specialist wants one. Museums want one. Registry competitors want one. And with fewer than 50 examples believed to exist, competition never slows down. Most known pieces are already locked away in long-term collections, which means the available supply gets smaller every year.